You're listening to Heroes in the Moment.
What's up, heroes? I'm Michael.
And I'm Nathan.
Today, Miss Marvel.
You got me excited, man.
I know. I'm sorry to rip
excited.
all your hearts out because it's actually not Morbius, unfortunately because we all know we'd love to talk about Morbius some more.
Again.
But it's Miss Marvel. But the
Episode
thing about Miss
5.
Marvel that's special is it is episode 5. And obviously
5
episode
holds
5.
of deer plates in our hearts.
very dear.
I've been listening back to some of our Miss Marvel episodes, and I realized we do talk about Morbius a lot.
We do.
And for you listeners who might, not feel the same way, the question is, why don't you?
Exactly.
You know?
See, you got to put the mindset of it's always morbid time.
It's always morbid.
Always time to morb.
And
all right?
Miss Marvel, there's just not a lot of morbid going
There's
along.
not a lot of morb. So
like,
we got to add the morb to Miss Marvel.
So y'all are welcome.
Yes.
Y'all really are.
You are very welcome.
You're welcome.
But to get into the actual episode of Miss Marvel, episode 5. So right off the bat, it was a rather... I don't know how to feel about this episode. It was really weird and spaced out oddly.
It was. I think it's the most different out of the 5 episodes we've seen.
I agree.
Like, there seems to be like a continual, like, at least thread in Jersey where they are, but this one was like just completely removed from that.
It was. And I feel like, the beginning, I really enjoyed the beginning, like the historical aspects, the running, because of ethnicity, culture, all that kind of stuff. And, being persecution, all that kind of stuff. I thought that was
British
stuff,
invading
right.
India.
I thought that stuff was really, really interesting and cool. And then I liked it all the way up, and then it started to fall off towards the end of the episode, to be honest, because the end of the episode was really not good at all.
Yeah.
So I don't know where it came from.
I definitely think the entire episode kind of built on to that point where Kamala's grandma, she was lost and then she got saved. I think. And that part was truly emotional, right? Because her mom got stabbed. Her dad's like almost in tears, like, looking for them in the masses of people. And I thought that was one of the better, probably the best part of the episode.
I agree.
But besides that, it wasn't spaced well. It had a really bad ending.
Right.
And this feels so choppy. Like how you take a show that only has 40 minutes, 6 episodes, and you butcher it up.
Exactly. I mean, it has potential. And like we said, the first couple episodes when it had the coming of age storyline, that was a lot better than what they did in episode 4 and then now 5. I feel like it could have worked.
Yeah.
And then trying to add more to her backstory. But at the same time, I just don't like it as good as it was going.
And I, to be honest, Michael, I really would have kept that coming of age story because coming out of the gate, it feel like it was marketed and focused towards that demographic of like young high school, like teenage girls, or like new Marvel fans. That seems to be like the demographic. But as the show goes along, it's like it seems like it's kind of like ditching that whole demographic. Right.
It's trying to go more into the demographic of ethnicity and culture.
When they start, with like high schoolers, it feels like. So why are they switching it? I haven't really seen that before.
I know it's really weird because I mean it's really like a different show. The last 2 episodes have been. I mean it's really
entirely
different.
And I'm sure that just splits the audiences because maybe some younger fans who were enticed by the coming of age story in the beginning no longer care. Right. Why we're watching the British in India. Why we're watching this story about bengals. It just doesn't correlate very well.
I can see a lot of people. I can see some fans liking the show still and really enjoying it. But for me, it's really not as good as it has been. And it has been good, even for us not being the demographic audience for the show, it's been good. But it's just kind of fallen off. The villain's not good. And then apparently they weren't the villains because, of course, what happened at the end. I
don't understand. And I think that this episode 5 was definitely one of the more weak
I agree.
episodes.
I agree. It just wasn't as strong. It just didn't keep up with the rest of the series had been going. So that was disappointing. But I will say, when the Marvel Studios showed the Marvel Studios line, I was like, wouldn't that be cool if it was black and white?
Yeah, we literally looked at each other. We're like, dude, it'd be cool if it was black and white.
Dude, yeah.
And I can't remember why we said it. It was just out of the blue.
Just out of the blue.
I think I told you I like the comic page, flipping a lot. And I was like, would be cool to black and white.
Black and white.
It'd be cool.
And then next thing you know, it went black and white.
Black and white.
And I was like, whoa,
dude, for real, it was crazy.
And we're not even joking. I was like, whoa.
I swear that actually happened.
We're like some clairvoyants in here.
Are we prophets? I'm not gonna say, but our record does speak for itself.
It does speak for itself. So that part was the hypest part of the episode.
But no, like harping on that though, that intro was cool, black
It was.
and white.
Mhm.
You see like that tiny box, like like the old cinema
Right.
showing the British in India. That part was cool,
Right.
Like that's just straight history. I know you're a history major, right?
Right.
I know you appreciate that.
I did
But that was one of the
appreciate that.
better parts.
Yeah, it
that
was.
felt grounded and realistic, and the rest of the episode didn't.
I agree. I definitely like, showing the OG TV and showing the
The
original
OG
black and white, feels and vibes was super, super, super cool. So I really liked those callbacks, and we predicted that without even realizing we predicted it. So
Facts.
that was
Saw it
awesome.
coming.
All right. So then as the episode goes on, we get to see the great-grandmother, Kamala's great-grandmother, and her history. We get to see that she ran away from, I guess, persecution, from death. They were coming after her. The clairvoyance. She had the, remember she stole the bangle, and that showed that back in like episode 2 or something like that. She stole the bangle. So she was running from the jinns as well. And then, of course, she comes upon a village and meets Kamala's great-grandfather.
Yeah, and then she just kind of stares at him the entire time. I was like, dude, why is she just staring?
Right.
But, you find out she's been running all this stuff.
Mhm.
And then they do a time jump of
They do several time jumps.
Yeah, they do like 3 separate ones, like
Mhm.
each like a year or something.
Right, or a few, yeah.
They look the same, though, which is crazy. So I don't know how they did that.
How did they do that?
I
I
need
have no
their
idea.
age and secret. But I don't know, man. I just didn't really resonate well with that part of the
I
story.
personally really enjoyed that part. I really like seeing that story, and I really just think it was really cool to see some of that heritage and what's going on in the world at that time. It, kind of reflects that, and I thought that was cool. And then, of course, getting to see this love story and, have the grandmother, their baby,
Yeah.
be Kamal's grandmother, and I thought that part was really, really cool, if I'm being honest. And then after, after a few more years of a time jump, they see that, they need to leave their home that they've been in the whole time. So that, of course, is always sad.
Yeah, and then the weird interaction with the Jinn, and
Yeah.
you find out she's never told her husband all this stuff,
Yeah.
which seems pretty important in the marriage.
Yeah, that seems like something you might want to bring up.
Yeah. By the way, I have a bunch of people like hunting me down.
By the way, I'm a supernatural creature from a different dimension. I just needed to let you to know that.
Do we have a 4-year-old daughter? I mean, yes. Am I gonna tell you about it? Probably not.
Probably not. I mean, I'm not human.
I was like, what, bro? Come on, you're doing my boy dirty. You're doing Cypher PK.
Oh, yeah.
A dirty
Which
one.
I liked the great grandfather. I really liked him. I thought he was
Yeah,
actually pretty
dude,
cool.
he was cool.
He was.
I liked him better than his wife. I'll tell you that much.
That's fair enough. And then, of course, we go and see her get stabbed, rip. And then, of course, she uses her powers to call upon the band from the future. And, of course, that's where Kamala comes in. What do you think about
I
that?
didn't understand that, man. I'm so lost in the story.
Yeah,
of
I can
these
understand
episodes.
that. I feel like it was a cool storyline, but at the same time, it just wasn't explained
like
well.
I don't understand it if I'm being honest.
Mhm. Yeah, I get that, but I did enjoy it, that part though. Of course, bringing her in, and then she goes after her, and she sees like, oh my goodness, I need to help you, but then she's dead, and then she goes and helps her granddaughter find her father and stuff. That part was cool, like we
Yeah.
said in the beginning. It was just not explained very well.
Cool how they, dude. I just thought something, man. Why they spend over half the episode about not Kamala? They're pulling a Book of Boba Fett on us. I didn't understand though. How would she know to call upon like the future?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
You
again,
know?
she's an
Like, could she feel
experienced
that?
Gen. She's an experienced Gen, so maybe she's like, okay, I need. And she was in her mind, she was thinking she was going to call upon her grandmother or her granddaughter, or no, her daughter. What am I saying? From the future to come back, and that's who she thought Kamala was her daughter. But in actuality, it was her great granddaughter. So, and to see that to save her grandmother, so it was super sad. It was an emotional scene, and definitely just not explained well, but a good scene, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
That's the best way.
this
to
was the
describe
only
it.
part of the episode where I did feel emotional.
Mm.
I was like, oh man, it started to get to me, but I had to tune that out.
Right.
I had to tune it out, baby.
But from that point on, I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was like, I was like, okay, this episode's pretty good, up to that point. And then we go back to the present, and Kamal lands back into the place where all the dead people are, and it just goes bad, if I'm being honest.
It just kind of spirals, and then what's that? The thingy called that just showed up.
It looks
that
like
was
the
eating them.
gate, I guess you could say, using Stranger Things lingo
Yeah.
to like the alternate dimension there.
Yeah.
Like I guess that's what it was.
And we see like the Jinn try to go through, but
Yeah.
it kills them. But they don't explain like why it didn't work.
Right.
It's like it doesn't work.
And they don't really explain how
Why
it
not?
appeared too.
How it appeared or why it didn't work. And then what happened with the Willem Dafoe looking leader Jinn?
I know. she was just like, they had this like super supposed to be emotional conversation that wasn't at all.
Yeah.
And she was like, don't do this. Don't leave your son. She's
Think
like,
of
already
Kamran.
abandoned my son. And then she's like, don't do that. That's not good. and then she's like, you're right.
You're right.
And then she says his name and then just dies.
Then she dies, and then somehow Kamran gets powers.
Yeah, which is comic accurate, but not good.
Like, how
not good written, not well written.
Did she sacrifice herself to give Kamran the powers, or
I guess that's what she
why would
did.
she do that? Because her whole life she's been on this mission to get back home,
and she just cast away her son anyway. I mean, she's obviously not that good of a mother anyway.
That's two great reasons why she would not do that.
Exactly. And if they've been setting her up as the villain the whole time, and now apparently she's
They're
not
all dead. What's gonna happen in the final episode?
I feel like my prediction is Kamran is going to end up turning on them and then being the villain, because ultimately in the comics he is not a good guy. So I feel like
maybe like
she's
she's possessing him, or there's just like a hint of her and him. I don't know.
It's very possible, but I did not like that part. I thought it was just super odd. Didn't really explain it well. Not very good. Not very well written. So I don't know. And then it also ended too, though. The show, it felt like it ended because you see the mom finds out Kamala has powers.
Yeah, the
right?
mom and grandma just walk in when they're using Find My iPhone, and they don't look at the dead bodies. Like, oh, look at this broken neck bracelet or whatever it was.
This guy is stabbed in the heart.
They're not even like taken aback that she's just like around a bunch of dead bodies.
Right. And then they find out she has powers. This whole cheesy, just didn't make sense. And then of course Red Dagger gives him her mask.
It's like, here you go.
The used mask. Like, why would I want your used mask?
At least put that thing through the washer.
Exactly.
You know
before giving it to me. I don't want your breath.
Is he no longer the Red Dagger? If you put on a different color bandana, would he still be the Red Dagger? Because it's red. If you put on
it may be the green dagger,
dagger,
yellow dagger, or the magenta dagger.
The teal dagger.
The teal dagger, the melon dagger. I don't know, but we'll see.
I just hope we don't see more of him, to be honest.
Oh gosh. And then of course we see it's them have a conversation back at the home. And of course, it feels like they're wrapping up the show in itself because they're talking about Bon Jovi. And then it goes back to Bruno with, what's his name?
Kamran. Which is cool. We don't get to see enough Bruno.
We love Bruno.
We see how he's doing. He takes Kamran in. He's being hunted, by the, what's the department's name again?
Damage Control.
Damage Control. Yeah. By the Damage Control. And that was cool. And then they have a little heart-to-heart. Was like, wow, that's so beautiful.
So beautiful. And then, of course, the circle cue explodes and then the show ends. And I'm like, how's that supposed to get me hyped?
Yeah. Well, first of all, no characters that we know of got injured in that explosion.
Correct.
It's below them. I assume they're fine. But I understand how that builds up to a finale. Like, that might have been the worst end scene to a finale episode I think we've seen.
That may be.
Disney Plus episode.
It didn't make sense. And it's like, after ending it, it's like, what's the next episode going to be about? Damage Control coming after him? Like, that's stupid. Like,
I know. And Damage Control aren't the bad guys.
No, they're just trying to
they don't deserve
do what
that
they think
spot.
is right. So,
but like, I know the Circle Q, the whole gas station thing is like their hub, and it's a big part of the comics. But if if that's supposed to be the attraction leading to the next episode, like, oh, this one place that they once knew was exploded,
right?
We don't care. We have no emotional attachments to this place. So my question is, like, how does that advance the story forward?
It doesn't, and I don't see where the finale is going to go. I don't see how it's going to end at this point. The only thing I know is she's got to get her suit at some point, and then she's going to end up back in Jersey because we see a picture of her in Jersey in her suit. So I don't know what's going to happen and where it's going, and that's super disappointing because in a show like this, from episode 5 going into the finale, you should have an idea of where it's going, and we don't.
Yeah, and even if there's been no hype the whole show, there has to be for the finale, man.
Right.
Like, that's when you go all out. See, you want to make sure you get
this
viewers.
is why we praise Morbius so much, because they had a clear plan. I mean, you hear Dr. Michael Morbius, forgive me for not saying doctor, it's Dr. Michael Morbius. You see him go, it's Morbin time, and then it's about to get more.
And he morbs.
We're about to get time for the morb.
There's a huge build up, and at the end of the movie, he says, Morbin time ain't over.
Time.
Bam, leads into Morbin movie.
The next Morbin movie. So, I mean,
that's called build up right there. We're still talking about it, and it came out in like March or April.
It came out in April, and
we're still talking about
a great film.
We'll be talking about this show in 3 months.
No.
Probably not.
We going to be talking about Morbius still?
Yes.
Probably.
So
I mean,
the main story is just like Dr. Michael Morbius, how he led up with a big Morb build.
it did.
This show should have led up with a build.
And ultimately, it did not. And it was just depressing. So hopefully we'll get a better finale.
I know I'm a critic, but this show just ain't hitting. Like it really ain't.
Right. And hopefully, the finale may be like, oh, wow, that was really good. And who knows, maybe a cameo will show up, because I feel like this show, out of all the Disney Plus shows, would benefit from a cameo. But,
yeah, it needs it. I'm just getting tired of these Disney shows.
Right,
This one
I
just
agree.
feels the most Disney. It feels cheesy.
Well,
I
I feel like this
cheap.
one needed to be Disney, but it just didn't do it well. And right now, it's just not feeling like it should. So,
yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
and
but
that's disappointing. So overall, I hope the finale can redeem it. But as of right now, I'm super disappointed.
yeah, I'm not. No hope. I'm not gonna put my hopes up because Disney
Right.
always lets me down.
Right.
So
Right.
keep it low.
We'll see.
All right, guys. If you enjoyed this episode, let us know by giving us a review and a download. Our
Woo!
podcast, Here's in the Moment, is available on all major podcast platforms. So
That's a fact.
go ahead, check us out, show some support. We'd really love it.
Yes, we would.
Big announcement time. As
Big.
y'all know, there's a big movie dropping this
Huge.
weekend. Highly anticipated.
Very much.
Huge. Thor Love and Thunder.
Love and thunder.
So we're watching it that weekend, and
Yes,
that
sir.
that movie breakdown, will be out Tuesday morning. We might have a guest, we may not. I don't know, but it's gonna be a long episode. It's gonna be a banger. We're excited to see it. We hope that's better than what people are saying.
We really, really
But
hope.
we'll give you our honest thoughts on
That's
it.
a for
Tuesday,
sure.
and then this Thursday in the AM, as y'all know, we're breaking down the Miss Marvel finale. So stay tuned for
Finale.
that. And like we said earlier, we hope it's good.
We do. We can only hope. So we just want to thank y'all for listening. And as always, we love you 3000.